Welcome to the June 2023 Star Wars Canon Update. Last month we got 12 new comic issues, so let's dive in. Star Wars issue 35 was awesome. Luke meets up with a Kyber crystal expert who starts to educate him on their relationship with the Jedi and the Force. He gives Luke a red crystal to see if the young Jedi can purify it, which he can't yet, but his attempts give him a vision of the ancient Sith who originally bled it, as well as a connection back to the final issues of Charles Soule's Darth Vader comic. I don't know what that means quite yet, but it was so cool. Luke is then given a clear crystal, and he bonds with it through a vision with Yoda, and it turns green. I have to assume that will eventually help power his next lightsaber, but for now he keeps his yellow one and both the red and green crystals. Darth Vader issue 35 was an interesting one. Vader hunts down Dr. Aphra and works with her again despite her numerous betrayals. She leads him to a shield weapon thing made of a mineral called kyberite. It basically allows him to focus his force powers now that the Fermata cage has rendered them out of control. Dr. Aphra issue 33 continued the fun team-up of Aphra and Luke and established it as taking place after this month's Darth Vader. Last month we saw them come face-to-face with Shakti and Aayla Secura, but they were just holographic illusions. Those Jedi Masters set up some sort of prison thing to contain a dark power, and through the course of the issue we learn more about it as it messes with Luke and Aphra digging into their insecurities, and finally breaking free at the end. Bounty Hunters issue 35 was a fun one. It's the start of a new arc, and Tonga hires a bunch of bounty hunters to take on Boba Fett. They collectively best him, but just barely, only so they can turn around and hire him, which it seems like they could have just asked, but where's the fun in that? Durge and Deathstick and Fett are all now part of the crew as they work together to somehow recover Valance's failing memories. But in true Mandalorian fashion, Fett demands they all do something for him first. The fifth and final issue of Sana Starros saw Sana and her family successfully take over an Imperial cruiser to recover their ancestors' data cube, keeping her knowledge safe from the Empire. It also showed me I was way off on where I thought it was in the timeline. I think it actually takes place alongside the rest of the current comic runs, shortly after the events of Dr. Aphra issue 31. The Empire one-shot celebrating Return of the Jedi was mostly a bummer that ended on a hopeful note. A poor technician is conscripted into unknowingly working on the second Death Star. He tries to go above and beyond with his co-workers and his job, and it comes across as suspicious, landing him in an Andor-style prison. But there he meets some actual friends who all have similar stories. It's like an illustration of how the Empire's attempts to divide people can actually bring them all closer together through their shared pain. Yoda issue 8 was a fun time, teaming Yoda and Anakin up together on a mission to destroy an assembly line of mega battle droids. It's a pairing we haven't been able to see much, but their banter was really fun as they do impressions of one another throughout the story. They work together and successfully take down the factory, but one mega droid activates and attacks right at the end. The final 3 issues of the High Republic adventures came out just a couple days ago, bringing an end to the series as well as Phase 2. The Denkgrax, rivals of Maz Kanata's, team up with the Grafs and therefore the Path of the Open Hand to take over Maz's castle on Takodana. But Sav Malagan and the rest of the crew are able to take it back with help from the Jedi, and we learn that Terra Sinube was undercover with the Denkgrax the whole time, which was a fun little twist. He becomes Sav's new master, and Sav herself decides she can be a Jedi without sacrificing what makes her unique. The third issue of Darth Vader Black, White, and Red was another mixed bag. 3 stories of Vader being an unstoppable monster, but the last one had some cool stuff about him hunting down a rebel cell and turning a spy into a double agent so he could better control the rebellion as a whole. Because military empires need enemies to fight, it's supposedly good for morale. Vader and the Emperor want a rebellion to some degree, they just want it to be small and easily crushed at any given moment. And finally, the first issue of the comic adaptation of the second season of The Mandalorian came out, and it's just like the first season adaptation, the show and fast forward. Nothing new to add there, but at least Cobb Vanth was involved. My favorite story of the month was Star Wars issue 35. It's wildly different than I would have predicted, but I'm loving the story of how Luke got his green lightsaber crystal along with a red one, and I'm really digging his own exploration into Kyber lore. But that's it for June. In July, we're getting the new novel, Inquisitor Rise of the Red Blade by Delilah Dawson, and 9 new comic issues. The Canon Update will return on August 1st to cover all those new stories. Until then, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, follow us on TikTok, Twitter, and Instagram, and consider checking out our Patreon page. As always, thanks for watching, and may the Force be with you.